Alright, welcome back to round number 3 of 4 here at Guardian Games for Modern Mondays. I'm Travis Cooper, hanging out from Portland Paper here with, I'd call you my friend, but also you're my housemate,
I am your housemate,
a
and I'm
co-conspirator.
I'm all those things.
uh,
Fellow magic grinder.
you're an
Uh,
arena grinder, right?
I kind of go into little like spurts of arena grinding.
But yeah, Steven's son, and we are watching Jay Dickey on what our producer likes to call classic Tron versus Alder Crayman on Grixis Death Shadow. Seen Alder play a couple times here. Haven't seen Jay playing on the feature match, but it plays a lot and is a good local grinder. Hangs out most Mondays here. And yeah, I just want to give a thanks to Red Primes 2357 for the subscription. We've got some cool emotes and just reached affiliates, so it feels good to get subscriptions. The more we get, we're going to try to do a bunch of other events, like some cash tournaments, invitationals, other videos, upgrade some equipment, etc.
It's good to know for our viewers too. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free Twitch subscription a month. So
Yeah.
if you got it, utilize it. I'm just saying.
Or, tell your mom to watch us
Mom,
and subscribe.
please. We need to get Amazon Prime. Looks like Alder's going Toonball again.
Yeah, it looks like Tron. Whenever Tron keeps, I also overheard. But both these players are friends and know each other and know what the other person's on, and so Alder knows what they're up against. And whenever you're playing against Tron and they keep a 7, that's just pretty demoralizing.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have it. You probably have it like in a very redundant way.
When they confidently keep a 5, I'm like, oh, they have it. When they like draw their 5th card and immediately say, yeah, keep.
And then they forget to scry.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, what didn't matter.
It does look like Jay's hand looks pretty nice.
I just saw a bunch of Tron lands.
Yeah,
and some
I mean, I can't
draw
tell.
cards. It looks like there's a map and at least 2 different kinds of Tron lands.
Even if I had a clear vision of it, sometimes I can't tell you what land is what.
Well, then you have those really tilting Tron players that have all the different arts
Yes.
of all the lands.
Ugh.
Okay, you get a Street Race Cycle Fetch Shock on Alder's side, deciding which land to get. Looks like someone asked if there's any living index. I have not seen any tonight. I have access to that. Maybe I should
Take a break from the commentating?
and
Yeah.
play. I really like the blue-red Electro Dominance living in deck. I think that seems pretty sweet.
Sweet is a good word for that.
Yeah.
Sweet is a good word for that.
Sometimes you want to do some sweet things. I really like the Goria's Vengeance Kiki Jiki one too.
Uh-huh.
Alright, we got Natural Tron, scrying a map and a land. So Jay just has is going to have all the mana and is going to probably be able to get a land like Sanctum of Ugin to snowball big spells, but only has the one sphere to cantrip into a threat. But Tron is just made up of lands, cantrips, and threats. So.
I think if I was Alder, I'd probably take the Sylvan Scrying. Or no, the Expedition map.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just,
Well, I mean,
it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, either of them effectively do the same thing.
We're just going through the deck.
It's like windmill there. And the map's hanging out.
It looks like Jay at least drew one more Tron land. And sometimes Tron just gets unlucky. They just keep drawing lands.
That's my game plan against Tron, is hope they mulligan to 5, hope they don't draw any threats. I mean, joking aside, that is, a cost of playing the deck and a way to engage, fight it is Tron usually can just do one thing a turn. So if you're able to have a threat early on and then counter interact with the one thing they're doing, that can be a way to beat Tron. The one thing they're doing is pretty powerful, but usually it's going to take all of their mana
to do so.
Yep.
Yeah.
It used to be that decks like blue-white control or Jeskai control would just fold to Tron, but nowadays with Field of Ruin and, you know, better planeswalkers, they have a pretty even matchup. Even some people think blue-white's favored against Tron.
Yeah, they definitely have game. Even some of the mid-range decks like green-black have game against Tron.
Yeah, like Field of Ruin plus Surgicals,
yeah,
Fulminator Mages, etc.
I've heard recent Pro Tour winner Autumn Burchett say that they have a good matchup against Tron.
And they're on the Rock?
They were, when I was watching them, they were on the Rock, yeah.
Yeah, look, 10 is not near 11.
I feel like Rock players feel like they have good matchups against everything, though.
Right, that's true.
Just in general, like nothing against them in particular, but whenever I hear a Rock player talking about their matchups, it's like, oh, everything's great. Yeah, it looks like we got pretty good upload speed here for the stream, so shouldn't be any problems on our end here.
Yeah, we actually have like 20 screens in the booth where it's just the same video footage. We're taking up the bandwidth on that.
Oh, well, there's an Oblivion Stone, so yeah, this is going to be pretty challenging for Alder to be able to develop any threats into this stone. This is where something like Is It Phoenix looks like a much stronger deck against Tron, where a Shadow, if you're able to get out a very early Shadow or Angler, you can win, but at this point in the game, that's going to be a real challenge to have enough threats to get through a stone and whatever else Jay draws.
Right. Yeah, because Jay at this point has so much time in the world.
If we get a 5/5. Oh, I bet we're getting a Sanctum of Ugin here. What do you think, Steve?
Probably. I mean, if you draw a threat, you want to be able to get another threat, so...
I think the only reason not to do that is maybe you have a Ballista and you just want to have, you know, all your towers.
I remember it. You can pick it up.
I imagine Jay's not going to do very much this turn. Holding up that O-Stone activation.
How many cards do you have? Like 5?
I kind of valued getting the Sanctum over activating the O-Stone at the end of the last turn, which was interesting. Grixis isn't playing any stifle effects, so this O-Stone is just gonna be good. Yeah, Jay's a little bit disincentivized to cast the spell without leaving up mana for O-Stone, because then you could get cheesed out by a Stubborn Denial, and then something like, you know, some cycling of Street Wraith, Lightning Bolts, Battle Rage thing going on.
Yeah. Could easily die to one Grixis Death Shadow from 20.
That's a lot of mana.
Do you have anything to cast with it?
It
looks like it. Yeah.
Are we at 10 yet? No. Oh, we're not getting a 10. We're just getting a 7-er.
Okay, trigger.
I think the Sanctum's gonna get a 10-er though. There you go.
Our favorite boy.
Oh, that card is just... It's so hard to play against because you can't, like, there's no way to interact with it profitably.
Yeah.
Or even, you know, to be even on your interaction with it.
Yeah, results.
You need like, I think there was a instant in.
I mean, you can disallow the trigger, but that's...
There was an instant that was printed that was exile all spells and abilities on the stack. It was 4 mana.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's very profitable if that's a card that you have to play in Modern.
Okay, looks like Alder's gonna scoop him up there. Usually when you see the Ulamog forecasted, there's not a lot you can do. Especially in a deck like Alder's.
Yeah, the fact that it's a cast trigger, yeah, it's just too hard to interact with.
Yeah, I feel like
It's also 10-10 indestructible that kills you in like 2 turns.
I feel like that is something Wizards was doing in that time period, is experimenting with like different, like new abilities on cards, and just the cast trigger thing is, when you get to Modern, is really frustrating for fair decks to interact with. And I feel like Modern already pushes the unfair, so I could,
Yeah, I just really.
you know, I'm fine. All strategies are valid, but I wish they didn't have cast triggers.
Yeah, I mean, Tron's not a tier 1 deck right now.
Oh, really? I kind of think
I think right now it's about a 1.5.
Floats around tier 1.
Yeah, it's always going to be like
does.
a
I was like, of course.
relevant deck.
I didn't even like read it. I just like assumed.
But the fact
like,
that it
hey,
does
well,
float
it's
back
Tron.
and forth.
Of course.
And usually it finds, like,
Why would you
Tron
not draw?
finds a way to configure the deck when it's not tier 1. If there are obvious tier 1 decks, Tron finds a way to make a build that becomes tier 1. Whether it's, oh, now we're running 4 relics in the main deck, or now we're playing white, or etc., whatever that innovation is. Usually there is an innovation.
Are people playing Hydra Grixis? That'd be awesome.
So yeah, it's going to be blue-green Tron now, where you're just going to draw a lot of cards and
Yeah.
create a, that'd be pretty cool. It's like, is that better than Ballista?
I mean, you love drawing cards.
I
You
love
love
drawing
drawing.
cards. And it is a cast trigger. Has things I love and things I hate printed on it. So sideboard, I could see, this is another, let's talk about surgical and sideboarding.
Oh yeah, this is the match that you want to bring in surgical extraction.
Yeah, you want to thought scour your opponent in surgical or Tron land.
Yeah. I'm imagining also ceremonious rejections. Sometimes Shadow plays the 4th stubborn denial in the sideboard.
Yeah, if they're not already playing 4 in the main.
Yeah, if they're not playing 4 in the main.
Like if I was on the play that game, I have a much more solid.
But
chance
for
of
Tron, you know, I've
being able
never
to tap
played
out
Tron.
for Angler on turn 2.
As Shadow or just in life?
I've never played as a Tron player.
Okay.
It's one of the decks I've never like registered into a.
Yeah, Tron might bring in some lower cost threats in case they. Usually when you're Tron, I feel like you're assuming your opponent is going to have a way to take you off of being able to develop Tron, so you're going to have threats that aren't spells to cast, like Thragtusk or Thought-Knot Seer, and have a little bit more early game against whatever you're facing. It's kind of like Dredge, where you assume that your opponent is citing in
The hate.
yeah, ways to exile graveyards or specific cards, so you have to diversify a little bit or bring in hate for the hate. In Tron's case, I mean, I guess there is a card like Crucible of Worlds, but a lot of times you just bring in threats that aren't that are creatures.
Do you think I'd like playing Tron? Do you think I'd be good at playing Tron?
Ah,
Can you be good at
I
playing
feel like this is you're putting me into lose-lose corner here, Steve. I don't feel like Tron is a deck that
Be careful here.
you don't have a lot of choices once you start the game. There's interesting choices with sideboarding and maybe how you build the deck, but once you draw your cards, the sequencing isn't, compared to other decks in Modern, is pretty straightforward.
Okay. We'll see what the chat has to say about this. If you're a Tron player, throw your hands up in the chat.
It's definitely a love it or hate it type style of deck in Modern. I feel like, like whenever a ban cycle comes around, there's a lot of people that are like ban Tron, and which I think is ridiculous. And you shouldn't ban Tron. It's good to have that kind of deck in a format, but a lot of people want Tron lands banned.
I lost to Tron over the weekend, so.
Yeah, chat's being really nice to us right now. We got a compliment on our coverage. All right. Well, that's some relics, and we get a Stirrings, a map, a power plant, a forest, and a warp coil engine. So it's going to be a little bit of time before we get Tron here for Jay, and also having Stirrings but no sphere or star effect makes it so Jay might have to play forest if Alder takes the map, which slows down the development of Tron even a little bit more. Although Relic, if you're actively using it, seems pretty decent in the matchup,
Yeah.
keeping your opponent off of casting early delve threats.
Yeah, and it's
The stirrings. Yeah.
very likely that Alder just has Gurmag Anglers.
Interesting. Stirrings was taken, and ooh, this is awkward. Leaves Jay with the map, which Jay does not play. So Jay had the option of playing a map there and having turn 3 Tron, because I think he picked up another Tron land that wasn't a plant, but instead chose to deploy Relic. I guess if you bring in a sideboard card, you're not playing it.
I'll bobble
That would be an interesting question. I'm interested why they made that decision. I don't necessarily think it's wrong, just curious.
I'll scar myself.
Yeah,
Target you with Relic in response.
I agree with you. I don't think it's wrong, but I'm sure there was some decision tree on Jay's side.
Okay, looks like Alder missed a land. If Alder had drawn fetch there, would have potentially been able to deploy an Angler. But now Jay is going to have the Relic activation up, along with being able to play the map. And it's not going to be vulnerable to a K command because Alder missed the land drop. So it's coming up Jay right now. And interesting spot here. So we have 6 mana. Effectively, if you count your graveyard as mana for a delve threat.
I might have Tron next turn, but probably not 7 mana.
I think whatever Alder does next, if I'm Jay, I'm going to crack the Relic to not have Alder get priority and be able to cast an Angler.
I might have even Relic'd on my turn, just in case Alder like drew a untapped land. If you're not going to do it at upkeep.
I see.
Yeah.
5 cards.
Yeah, so definitely now is the spot to do it in. There we go. Yeah, I agree with your assessment that it makes you a little bit more vulnerable to a Thoughtseize type effect, but not a bad play at all. And Alder really hurting for lands here.
Yeah.
So this might run away pretty quickly.
I'm gonna crack my map.
All right, going on an expedition.
Turn.
Surprise. It's not like Search for Azcanta, when you don't necessarily know what you're gonna find.
You're searching and you're like, this is not it. This
For the way that glare looks right now, that almost looks like a Taiga.
Strip mine too, kind of.
Response to this.
All right, Alder finding his second land, but let's see what the follow-up play is. The Thoughtseize. All right, that's
Wow.
not what you want to see when you Thoughtseize your opponent with Tron already activated.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. So
You can't hear it, but I can hear
I can
Alder.
never be
there was an expletive. There was an expletive.
Not happy about seeing this.
Now, yeah, we have mics on the tables, so we can hear what the players, the table talk going on, and yeah, Alder, yeah, it's not looking good. But does take the Ulamog, which would lead me to believe there is a counterspell, maybe in hand, perhaps a Ceremonious Rejection.
Nice.
You did it. You countered one threat. Hope that was
I
good
mean,
enough.
maybe there's a land, Snapcaster, Ceremonious
There's a relic.
Rejection.
There's
Oh,
a
there is a relic also.
do it anymore.
Alright, Stubborn Denial is live now.
Is Hell Graveyard
I think there is one in hand.
Oh,
Wow, if Alder pulls
Take
this,
full advantage of you not doing that.
I'm gonna be stoked. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be stoked.
I'm definitely nothing against Jay, but especially because Jay's up a game. I'm on Team Alder right now.
Well, I think you and I are naturally not gonna root for Tron.
We don't need to. That doesn't need to be public knowledge. Oh, stubborn denial.
We have a game here.
Do we have? Do we have a Snapcaster? Is it coming up Alder now? I either saw a blue card or an island.
Yeah. Okay.
Thoughtseize. Oh, the Thragtusk was brought in. We got 2 Karns.
Okay.
And
It's pretty
Ugin
redundant.
and Thragtusk.
And a Thragtusk.
If Alder has another threat, Karns are kind of beatable. But, ooh, maybe Alder is on counterspells. Sometimes they play Disdainful Stroke
They
also
do.
in the sideboard.
Bobble.
I think it's fairly common to have at least one in the sideboard.
You.
Usually it's something like a couple Dispels and a Disdainful Stroke.
Mhm.
Team. And I'll pass. Draw.
Oh, and it looks like that was another Stubborn Denial.
I mean,
Yeah.
if it gets denied and there's a Teamer Battle Rage in hand, that does it.
Play land.
Well, take one more turn. But
To jam another card.
I have another stub.
Sad.
Oh
this
yeah.
is sort of
My math is
yeah, what we were talking about earlier. How if you can just have an answer to the one thing that Tron is doing every turn and are able to develop a threat, that's a way of winning. It took Alder a while to develop the threat though, and I feel like we may have run a little bit out of gas here, because that Eugene's gonna come down next turn.
All they're thinking about is options, like.
I think that's a Ugin that's left in hand.
Yep.
Feudal. It's
One more Ugin.
yep. Which that's a good one. That's a very hard one to beat.
Is it just one more card in hand? There might be one more.
Oh, that maybe there's one off the cycle of the Spear Star.
Yeah, I think.
oh,
there's-
is there a
I
card?
think there's another card. Yeah.
Okay. Oops. There was lots of good cards.
it was double card Ugin and
Ulamog.
Thragtusk.
And Thragtusk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ulamog got snagged and then
Yeah, yeah.
Thragtusk got snagged.
Yeah, as soon as Alder snagged the Thragtusk, I'm like, yeah, you've probably got counters, or at least playing to your out.
Okay. There's the Teamer Battle Rage.
Okay. Alder going to 5. Or, sorry, Jay going to 5.
But this
It's
plays into the
Ugin.
Ugin, right?
So all these things. Pass the turn.
I'm unsure of why you play the Death Shadow.
Right.
I guess because Karn minuses, then
That's true.
next turn you can Ugin and then might not have to destroy the Ugin. So yeah, that's interesting play, but makes sense. If you have answers in your deck left to Karn that you could draw, but once the Ugin resolves and minuses 1, you can't actually effectively deal with it. Ooh, there's. It looks like all the creatures are brought in from the side.
No response.
It's a Snapcaster?
Maybe a
Nope.
K command for a discard and return.
Maybe
Or
ooh,
2
a
damage.
discard, actually.
Yeah.
2 damage. and
It
discard.
depends if bolts are left in or not. If bolts aren't left in, it would be discard and return a creature. But if
Well, the thing is that Thought Knot would probably take the.
yeah, but at least you're getting something else out of the card. That looks like it was 2 damage.
I'm gonna play a Karn. I will. Yeah, I guess I'll exile.
Yes, Classic Tron is mono green Tron, which I maybe have a slight disagreement. I always like to think of Classic Tron as being red green Tron, but haven't seen that one in a while.
That's classic.
Old school, maybe.
Old school, yeah.
Target you, take your card.
I would be taking those red sources if I were Jay.
I would.
You're at 3.
Come on, lightning bolts.
Lands.
Come on, come on. Oh well, yeah, yeah. Alder put up quite a fight there at the end. I
Yeah,
thought it was, you
Oh,
know, we
man.
had early Tron plus a stream of threats, and Alder didn't have one for a while,
That was
but
a-
yeah.
The really tough choice I had to make that game was whether.
All right,
to,
yeah, there's some time left, so we're gonna hang out and find another match and see how many matches of Magic we can get through in just 4 rounds
We
here.
went through a lot so far.
Yeah,
Have a good night,
we'll
man.
return very
and I
shortly.
was like, well, if I don't commit the Death Shadow, then you just play Karn, down tick on the Angler, and then I can never catch back up. So I feel like I have to play the Death Shadow, force you to like even them away,